What up, what up? Welcome to the Masterclass. My name is Amed. I make beats, bangers. If you're someone who wants to make exceptionally banging, real 90s boom bap, and maybe even turn it into a full-time career, then this is for you. So today, we're gonna go over 3 key topics that will get you real success as a 90s boom bap beat maker. And without these things, you can't succeed. So these things we're gonna talk about are important. Depending on wherever you're at in your journey, this will apply to you. This applies to beginners, advanced beat makers, anyone across the whole spectrum. So, those 3 topics. Number 1 is the vision, the mindset, trusting yourself, knowing what you're doing. 2, we're gonna go over 3 common mistakes that holds people back from making banging real boom bap. And then lastly, the 3rd thing we're gonna talk about is how you define success and what makes someone genuinely successful. And so under this video, you're gonna see a link that is for my community where I help beat makers reach the next level. If at any time you feel ready to join, click that link and we'll see you in there. So anyways, quick side note on why I put this community together. Basically, there's a whole lot of info out there on how to make boom bap, how to make real boom bap, and it's all whack. It's all fucking bullshit. People who don't even know what they're talking about saying, you got to do it like this, and this is what makes it real, and blah, blah, blah. Actually, I don't know what I'm talking about, blah, blah, blah. So, basically, there's not really any info out there on making real boom bap. There's not really any info from someone who actually knows what they're talking about. So, what I did is I put this together to teach people the real shit, the real methods, the real ways to do it. No games, no fucking dumb whack shit, just the real deal. The program that I've created can take anyone from being nothing all the way to being an incredible, authentic 90s boom bap beat maker. Basically contains everything you would ever need to know if you wanted to succeed as a 90s boom bap beat maker. And I've made it simple, easy to follow. Even your fucking grandma could follow it and become a banging ass 90s boom bap beat maker. So, with that being said, hopefully we'll see you inside. If not, hopefully this video is valuable for you and it pushes you right along, gets you on track. Without further ado, let's get into it. First thing, the mindset, the vision, and trusting yourself. Basically, without the right mindset, you're not gonna make it very far. You gotta know why you're even doing this shit in the first place. A good reason is because you genuinely have a passion for 90s boom bap. That is a good reason. A bad reason would be because you want money or followers or props, or because 90s boom bap is sick and you would be sick if you made banging boom bap beats. If that's why you're doing this shit, you're not gonna make it far and your shit's gonna be whack. So don't do that. Do it because you genuinely like it. Be true. Anyways, just being in it for the right reasons is not enough. You gotta have the visions, you gotta trust yourself, you gotta know that you can make it happen. So let's talk about some of the greats, legends like fucking Premier, RZA, Pete Rock, all the fucking greatest 90s boom bap beat makers. All of them started from nothing. They all started with no skill. They didn't just have their skills handed to them and this massive talent just given to them. They had a genuine passion and they made it happen. So you have to understand that you are no different. You are no different than those legends. They started just where you are. They all started with no skill. What they created was a result of their commitment to 90s boom bap and to their art and expressing themselves through their art and being committed to making beats. So it's easy to get intimidated when you're embarking on a journey and you're like looking at all these people who have all this skill and you're like, well, I'm not shit, so far to go. Becoming that good, like, I don't know if I could do it, like they're special and like I'm just a regular guy. But you gotta realize everyone is just a regular fucking person. The people who make it are the people who make it happen. People who are genuinely have a passion for this and genuinely committed to making it happen. They keep going, they don't stop. That's what it boils down to. They put in the work, even when the road gets rough, they're still going. They're still making beats. Even if they're doubting themselves, they're still making beats. They don't quit. And that's the thing. This path, this road, it can get rough. There'd be a lot of times where you doubt yourself and you think, I shouldn't have even done this. This is impossible. There's no way I can do this. Like, the fuck was I thinking? And in those times, that's when you really gotta just keep going. That's all you can do. Just keep going. But anyways, it's a tough road. So what I've really done is created this program to make this path much easier, not as intimidating. So anyways, let's move on to topic number 2. 3 key mistakes that beatmakers make that hold them back from making exceptional 90s boom bap beats. Real boom bap beats. So number 1 is breaking fundamental rules. Fundamental rules of beat making, not just boom bap beat making, but fundamental rules of beat making. The first thing we'll talk about, because it's incredibly common mistake that people make, is not quantizing their beats, not quantizing their drums. I see so many beats ruined because the drums are just sloppy, and it's like, J Dilla did it, so it's cool, and you're supposed to, and it's boom bap, so it's supposed to be sloppy. You would think, but it ruins so many beats, and especially beat makers who don't have that much experience. It is so easy to fuck up the entire beat just because your drums are sloppy, and because your ears aren't developed enough to tell that the drums are just sloppy. They're not good sloppy. Like, J Dilla has good sloppy drums because he's incredibly talented. He can recognize what sounds good. He's not just fucking around, quantize off, fuck it, no quantize, so it's more real. That ain't it. Especially if you're a beginner, you should quantize every single time. You will make exceptionally better beats if you just quantize. So basically, in the course, I break down quantizing a whole lot more, but for now, just know, quantize your beats. Quantize your beats. Another foundational rule that people will be breaking all the time is just using shit samples, not using very good samples, like especially drum samples. Drums are incredibly important, and if you're not using good drum samples, the foundation of your beat is going to be shit, because the drums are the foundation of the beat. So you gotta have good drum samples. You want to have a high bar for samples. You don't want to settle for some shit samples, because boom bap is a sample-based art form. The samples are what create your beat. So you want to start with something that is already good. You can't start with some shit and turn it into a fucking diamond. You got to start with a diamond and polish it into a crispy, beautiful diamond. So that's that. And one last fundamental rule we'll talk about. This is a rule that I've created myself. I call it the 3-to-1 rule, which essentially is for drums. Also applies to samples, but it's mainly for drums. 3-to-1 rule means that in order for your drums to stay interesting, as a 4-bar loop, you can have 3 repetitions, and then on the 4th bar, you have to have some kind of variation. And then that 4-bar loop can just go on for a long time without getting repetitive. So here's an example of a drum beat that is following the 3-to-1 rule. So it repeats the same thing 3 bars in a row, and then the last bar has variation. So then we can just loop this, and it goes on for a long time. So if you do not follow this rule already, fucking do it and implement it into all your beats. 3-to-1 rule. 3 repetitions maximum. The 4th one, if it's the same, it's gonna get repetitive. So 4th bar, switch it up. It can be something so subtle as doubling up a kick, or you could just cut out the snare, or switch the kick on the first beat of the 4th bar to a hi-hat. Anything, literally any kind of variation. That is all you need. So that's the 3-to-1 rule. So number 2, the second mistake that holds back beat makers from making banging 90s boom bap beats is lacking authenticity. Authenticity is at the core of boom bap. It is a music genre where authenticity is one of the highest values, is one of the highest elements of the art form. So first thing with authenticity, we already talked about. It's doing it for the right reasons. Making beats because you genuinely have a passion for this shit, not for some bullshit get followers or respect kind of shit. Being true to the art, making it because you genuinely have a passion for the art. That's the first thing. And second, not making beats for yourself. Making beats to impress other people. Being authentic means making beats for you, trying to impress yourself. Making beats the way you want them to sound, sampling what you want to sample, not what other people think is cool, sampling what you think is cool, making beats that you think are cool. It's all about you. So, and then lastly, not being authentic to 90s hip hop. This is the difference of whether your boom bap beats are attempts at boom bap or if they are actual boom bap. So I've broken it down into 3 rules that define whether it is real or not. So follow these rules and your boom bap beats will be authentic every single time. Number 1, sample shit that existed in the 90s. If it didn't exist in the 90s, it's not authentic. It's gotta have existed in the 90s or earlier. And most authentically to 90s boom bap, they were sampling late 60s, early 70s. So that is what you should focus on sampling. Late 60s, early 70s. Number 2, sampling from records. Not YouTube, sampling from records. Actual records, real records that existed in the 90s. So that's number 2, sampling from records. Number 3 is not using modern processing or techniques. So let's say you make beats on an MPC-1, you should only use techniques and processes that were possible in the 90s. If you're using like some crazy automated effect, that shit was not possible in the 90s. It's gonna instantly signal that your boom bap beat is not an authentic boom bap beat. So don't use modern processes or techniques. So those are the 3 rules, and basically they all boil down to this. Was it possible in the 90s? If the answer is no, then don't do it. If it was possible in the 90s, you're good to go. If not, you're not. So that's that. And the final mistake that beatmakers make is not putting enough work. Not putting in enough work because they're like, I don't know how, but what am I supposed to do? That is the mistake. It's not that you know how to do it. It's that you just keep going anyway. You are determined to figure it out, so you keep trying to figure it out. Doesn't matter if you know what to do, it just matters that you try. So another thing is expecting results too soon. Listening to your beats and then comparing them and being like, why don't mine should sound like this, it should blah blah. Basically, fuck a should. Fucking look at your beats and see them for what they are. Don't expect to be insane immediately. You can't expect results too soon or else you'll get discouraged. You don't want to rush the process. Enjoying the process is where it's at. Slowing down, just making beats. Just making beats. So then also, inconsistent practice. Not practicing consistently and then being like, why aren't my beats better? Blah, blah. Like, you're not practicing. You gotta just practice. You gotta be making beats often. If you wanna get better, you gotta make beats quite frequently. Every day is ideal. Every day for like an hour or 2 or even 3. If you really wanna get good fast, make beats for 3-4 hours a day. You'll see improvements incredibly fast. And then lastly, trying to force the outcome. Instead of seeing the beat for what it is and working with what you have, having this idea and being like, it has to be like this. I have to do this, blah, blah. Not just making a beat and creating. Trying to rush to get the end result instead of focusing on the process. So that is the third and final mistake that we're gonna talk about today. All right, and the final thing we're gonna talk about today is how you define success and what makes someone successful. So how you define success is incredibly important because whether you feel successful or not is going to be based on how you define what success is. So let's say you base your success on what other people think. If someone thinks your beat is shit, then you're gonna think, damn, I'm shit at making beats. My beats are ass. And then on the contrary, if someone's like, yo, your beats are fucking insane, dude. Insane. Then you're gonna be like, dude, I'm an insane beatmaker. And basically, your feeling of success is gonna be all over the place because there's just gonna be varying opinions all the time of your beats. And people are gonna be saying, your beats are insane. And then someone's gonna say, to the same beat, they're gonna say, this is fucking terrible. So that, for example, is a bad thing to define success as. So what should you define success as? Well, you should measure success as maximizing your overall enjoyment of your beat making experience. That is the best way to define success. The more you enjoy your beat making experience, the more successful you are. When you define success like that, it doesn't matter whether you have no skill or a whole lot of skill. Doesn't matter if you have 10 followers or 10,000 followers. Doesn't matter if you make $0 or $10,000. It all comes down to whether you are actually enjoying your beat making, whether you are fulfilled by creating art. So that is a good way to measure success. And when you measure success like that, you can be successful quite often. And it doesn't matter where you're at in your journey. You can still be successful. Because if you define success as selling 1,000 records and getting respect from legends and yada yada, then you're not going to be successful for a long time. And that is going to make your beat making experience quite unenjoyable. And an unenjoyable beat making experience is not going to last long. You're not going to be willing to keep going when you feel like you're unsuccessful the entire time. So measure success the right way. Measure it as your overall enjoyment of your beat making experience. That is how you should define success. So that is all we're going to talk about today. These are just 3 quick little topics that we talk about in the course. We have an insane amount of other things we talk about. Pretty much any kind of thing you could think about that would relate to beat making, you will learn about. So we break down the entire beat making process and its technicalities and like actually creating beats and actual techniques to make banging beats. And then we also get fully into the back end, the mindset behind the beat and the intentions and everything else that goes on outside of the technical process. So basically what we got is the complete package for becoming a successful, authentic 90s boom bap beat maker. So if you're ready to take the next step, if you want to make this shit happen, click the link under this video, join the crew, and I'll see you in there. If not, I hope this masterclass was valuable for you and you incorporate this shit into your fucking beats and you succeed as a beat maker. I hope you do. I wish you the best, if not. And maybe you're not ready now, but this course, this program, this community, it ain't going nowhere. So if at any point in your journey, maybe you just need help or maybe you just can't figure it out on your own, you can always come back, check out the course, see what we can do for you. We'll be glad to help. So anyways, if you're ready to take that next step, hit the link below and I'll see you in there. Stay fat, keep creating, keep it real. That's what's up. Peace.